Good morning, friends. Welcome to this week's installment of This Old Barn. My name is Kevin. I'm the facilities manager here at Happily Ever Esther Farm Sanctuary. This week I wanted to answer a question from my last video that Heather posted asking how we prioritize projects. First, I wanted to classify our projects into, three different categories. We have large projects, such as building a barn. We have smaller projects, such as, if you can see behind me on that run-in shed, we had to purchase some lumber and close up that opening a bit when we had Rodney living in there, just to make it a little bit warmer for him for the winter. So that involved, just going to the store, grabbing some lumber, and spending a half a day installing a new wall, building some doors, that sort of thing. And then we have urgent projects, which is a pig busted through a fence or broke a gate, and we had to run out immediately and get that fixed. We, of course, also have our ongoing maintenance projects, but I'm not really going to discuss those right now. But that's things like testing our small engine, things like our mowers, all of our landscaping equipment, our generators, like that kind of thing. So when it comes to the three categories of projects, I'm going to start with the more urgent projects first because it's the easiest one to go over. Basically, someone on the caregiving or facility staff or volunteer, any of the volunteers, they might see something happen. They might see something that looks amiss, such as maybe there's a water that's freezing and we have to address why the heating element isn't working, or there's a fence that some of the fencing is starting to come off and we have to address that, or a gate that is a little loose or isn't quite lining up anymore. So those requests for those repairs would come in through a system that we have that anybody has access to on site. They just submit a form. It comes to me. They can just describe the incident. They can take pictures. They can say if it's urgent or if it's a high priority or anything like that. And then generally the same day or the next day, the facilities team will have a look at it, decide if it is an urgent project. We'll get to it immediately, go buy the supplies we need, and then go from there. But in general, those are very quick decisions. If they have to be, if something is urgent and has to be repaired, then we get to it right away. So from there, we move up to the small projects. These are generally going to be decided by the leadership team. So that's going to be me, Andrea, Emily, and then Jacqueline and Nicole also weigh in on these things as well. One example of this is when the pigs were given their new feed area. It was wonderful. It was nice and dry. It was super safe. But then we had the realization that the gravel wasn't going to be great for their hooves. The vet had some comments on that, so we all met together. We came up with a plan and decided to get it nice and smooth and put rubber mats on top of that. So it wasn't a cheap project by any stretch, but it wasn't to the degree of like building a barn or excavating for new electric or something along those lines. And it was something that we could do entirely in-house with our facility staff. And that brings us to our last category of project, which I would say is the large projects. These are planned out well in advance. They're often things that we say, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have a new coop somewhere or a new barn somewhere? And then we discuss with the board, we discuss with the leadership team, and we say, how can we raise the funds to make this happen? And then from there, of course, we have to say, what is it going to cost? So we have to reach out to contractors. We have to reach out to our suppliers of all of our materials just to find out where we can source the best materials for the best price, and try to contact some of our contractor friends who can give us a good deal and put your donor dollars to good use. So now that we've talked about the types of projects, I just wanted to address actually how we prioritize the projects. We have meetings every week with the leadership team to talk about what's going on in the sanctuary, and then of course we have meetings with the board once a month to discuss just some larger scale projects as well. When it comes to prioritization, we have to consider the residents first. They are our first and only concern. And then, of course, we want to consider our donor dollars. So we want to make sure that we are spending the money at the right time throughout the year to make the most of it. An example of where this matters is, for instance, when we're ordering the hay. If we order our hay and straw while they're cutting it off the field and they're able to bring it over as soon as it is cut, that saves us a substantial amount compared to if we order it later in the season when it's been stored and sitting. So these decisions save us a considerable amount of your donation dollars. There's also the consideration of our contractors' time. There are some contractors that we work with who, certain times of the year, they're a little bit slower and they're able to come in at a discounted rate to help us out with some of the equipment rentals and labor costs, just to offset some of the costs of everything else that's going on, because everything is getting more expensive these days. And then finally, we have to prioritize things by the time of the year. For instance, right now I can't go out and dig fence post holes because the ground is just way too hard and there's too much snow. Another example would be we wouldn't want to really dig trenching for drainage right now, or even during some of the wetter seasons, because it's just too muddy and too difficult to work around that sort of thing. So it's all about planning out the year in advance, which is actually what we are working on right now. Thank you so much for this question, Heather. I really, really love this question. If anyone else has any questions going into the details on the facilities side of things, please post in the comments below and I will get to them at some point. We had another really great one that I wanted to address, but just did not have time to today. But I believe that one was from Claire about what the hardest project is and what one project is that we've tried to tackle but just haven't been able to get to it just yet. So that one I will be answering hopefully next week. So thank you all so much for your support, and I will talk to you again on Thursday. Thanks, everyone. Bye.